What's up? My name is Rich. Welcome back to another video. In this video right here, we're going to talk about your full color print options when it comes to equipment. Before I get into this video, make sure you check out onlyninjas.com because I'm giving away a Graphtec vinyl cutter and a Uninet heat press, and those are major items. So every single dollar you spend at onlyninjas.com is one entry into the giveaway, and you can get something awesome like this. This also comes with the pants that I don't have on right now. Right now, this is even on sale for 40 bucks. So make sure you check it out. You're supporting the channel by shopping at onlyninjas.com. And not only that, you get the chance to win a Graphtec vinyl cutter and a Uninet heat press. But anyways, let's get to our video. So we're just going to start at the bottom and make our way up. So first and foremost, you got something that you can use with your regular inkjet printer. It's the 3G opaque paper. All right. So 3G opaque paper quality is not going to be the best, but hey man, if it's all you can afford right now, it'll do the trick, especially if you need to get some full color prints out here and there. You'll definitely be able to get by. So make sure you check that out. 3G opaque paper. If you don't have a vinyl cutter that can read registration marks, you're going to end up with a full cut block t-shirt design. But if you do have a vinyl cutter, what you can do whenever you print out your design on your sheet of paper is print out little registration marks and then feed into your vinyl cutter, and it will cut it out. So I don't have any videos on that as of right now, but you can definitely YouTube it, and I'm pretty sure somebody's covered it. And from there, you have a dye sublimation printer that will work on light colored garments such as white, but for the most part, it's used for polyester. For this item right here, there's always going to be some kind of DIY version of everything that I'm about to explain. So there are DIY dye sublimation printers, or there are kits that you can use to convert your own printer. Cosmos Ink, they definitely have one. Once again, I'll post all the links down below to everything that I'm speaking on. So there's a DIY version. I don't know, that's probably like within a few $100 or something for something of that nature, where you can convert your own printer to a dye sublimation printer so that you can use dye sub inks. And then you have something like a Sawgrass printer, which is going to be like $600 and up. And from there, you can have like a wide, plotter, print and cut plotter that prints out sublimation inks. But at that point, you're talking about 4 or 5 figure range. So there's always going to be some kind of entry level, something in the middle, and then there's always going to be something that's very expensive. So if that's of interest to you, make sure you look into that. And all of these things that I'm speaking on, you will need a heat press. I think you can get by with like a regular hand iron when it comes to the 3G opaque paper, but I'm not 100% sure. I highly recommend at least getting like the cheapest heat press possible if you can't afford like an expensive heat press. From there, we have the white toner laser transfer printer. Over there, I have the iColor 800, which is made by Uninet. There's also, I think it's called a ghost printer, which is like $1,000 or something. It looks like it's a converted Canon printer or something like that. You have to feed the paper in twice. It prints out the color, and then you have to feed it back in to print the white over it. So that's the part that didn't sell me, and I went for the 800 because I didn't feel like dealing with a hassle of feeding a paper twice. I like to just be able to print out hundreds of papers like per minute. That's what that does. And then there's other white toner printers in between. I think it's like the iColor 550. I'm not too sure, but there's a few other in between. So first you're looking at the ghost printer, which is like $1,000. I don't know the dimensions that are printed out, but you got the iColor 550. That only prints out to like maybe 11 by 17. You can pretty much get away with that to begin with because 11 inches wide does fairly well by 17 inches tall. Or you can flip it around to 12 inches wide by at least like 10 and a half, almost 11 inches tall. But those are the differences between the Uninet printers. Is the dimensions that it prints out. And the iColor 800 costs the least per ink per print, but it doesn't have the black ink in there. But you can use all of the inks in there and it mixes to make a black. So that's the difference as well, like the 550s and whatnot. You can also convert to a dye sublimation printer, but they also have the black ink. And I noticed I said ink when it's actually like more of a powder because it is a toner printer. So that's your third option for full color prints, is the white toner printer. The next option is going to be direct to film. It's actually been around for a while. I've seen it like, in overseas videos and whatnot, but it seems to be fairly new when it comes to US and the grassroots level. And once again, there's always going to be a DIY printer, one that you can convert your own printers, or somebody that sells a printer. I recommend looking into dtfpro.com. The reason why I recommend them is because it seems like they've been around for a while. When I purchased my DTG printer a few years back, DTG Pro was around then as well, and it seems like they're still making strides. So check them out. They have like the DIY type DTF printer, and then they also have something that's more of like a plotter type, which is what I'm more interested in. It's a plotter type printer, and then it has the little heater and it curls it up, the transfers and all of that. So give them a look. So for something like the DIY, I believe it's something like 1,000 to 3,000, depending on if you want to build it yourself, convert a printer yourself, or if you want to go ahead and purchase one that somebody converted for you. But for something that I'm more interested in, is the plotter type, and it has the little heater and the conveyor and all that. It's like a good 20 grand or so. I'll get into a little more about that later. There are pros and cons to everything that I'm mentioning. I'll get back to that at the end of the video. But DTF, if you don't know what that is by now, it's direct to film. So this is also a transfer process. You're printing it onto a sheet of transfer, gets the adhesive put on it, and then you take the transfer and then you heat press it onto the shirt. So every single one of the methods that I've mentioned so far are all transfers. So the next one is DTG. So the person who owns DTF Pro also owns DTG Pro. So they also have like converted printers, entry level DTG printers. And then you got something in the mid range like the Epson F2100, the Brother GTX. And then if you want to go higher tier, you're talking about something like a Cornet. So when it comes down to entry level DTG printer, you probably convert your own for like less than 5 grand, get like a DIY built one for like 8 to 9. Then you're looking at the Epson, which is like 14. Then you're talking about Brother GTX, it's like 22 grand. I've seen different price ranges from the Cornets. You can get some in the 5 figures, you can get some in the 6 figures. I think I've seen some used ones in like the $50,000 range. I'm not too sure. I'm not there, so I didn't do extensive research on those higher end ones. That's not something I want to do, is heavy productions, but hopefully this can point you in the right direction. However, DTG is not a transfer process, it's direct to garment. So this process is printing directly on the shirt. You need pre-treatment on the shirt first, so you also need a pre-treater. So pre-treatment goes onto the shirt. You cure that with either a conveyor dryer or a heat press. Put it into your DTG printer, print on top of it, and then also cure those inks with either a conveyor dryer or a heat press. All right, so that's DTG, direct to garment. Your final one will be screen printing, but when it comes to full color, you're going to want to do a CMYK print. So similar to how like a CMYK printer works, or how any of these work. So when it comes to screen printing, you're going to want to set up 4 different screens. You're going to set up a cyan screen, a yellow screen, a magenta screen, and a black screen. So that's how full color will work for screen printing. But like I said, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I'm hoping I can just point you in the right direction, and hopefully you know what to type in next on that search bar up there, and now you know what to look for. So anyways, how many items is that? Just recap. We got the regular 3G opaque paper, that's 1, dye sublimation 2, direct to film 3, direct to garment 4, and then 5th is screen printing. So there's pros and cons to everything. 3G opaque paper is not going to be your best option. It's going to print slow with your inkjet, but if you need to get it done and you only have low capital to start with, that might be an option for you. Dye sublimation, you can only print on select color garments, and for the most part polyester. So you have to put that into consideration. White toner, I haven't seen white toner quality become the greatest as of yet. When the prints out, it's kind of papery. I've heard there is a new paper coming out for the printers, some kind of ultra bright paper, and it has stretchability and all of that. So I've been waiting on that. So that's going to be your white toner option, but the quality is not the greatest, but it prints out the printer quite quickly. But there is an A to B Mary process. So hopefully you're going to search all of these and find out more about these processes. Direct to film, I'm very interested in direct to film, but I'm waiting on a printer that somebody's going to put out that's made by like Brother or Epson or something of that nature. But I love the quality of direct to film, so go ahead and give that a look. But for the most part, I see it works like a direct to garment printer. You're going to have to run maintenance on it. You're going to have to clean it. You're going to have to keep the printer, the more the printer runs, the healthier it's going to be. But if not, you're going to have to do a print test, see if it works. Most printers nowadays have a wet cap system. They say it can sit for a few days and you can start printing once again. But I had an Omni printer a while back and it had the wet cap system, but it wasn't necessarily true. But that was a few years back, so I don't know how much more technology has updated. But within a few years, I'm pretty sure something has changed. So if you're interested in that anyways, go ahead and give that a look. When it comes to direct to garment, you also need a pre-treater. So you need to get the pre-treatment on the shirt first, cure the pre-treat, and then get it printed directly onto the garment with your DTG printer, and then cure the inks. But also, I do remember a few years back, there are some kinds of blank t-shirts. It was called RTP, ready to print. something like that. It has tearaway labels as well. It's already pre-treated, so you can just go ahead and take the shirt and print directly on top of it. So maybe direct to garment is of interest of you. So take a look into that. Direct to garment is going to be the one that has ink on the shirt. Direct to film is pretty much ink onto a sheet onto the shirt. White toner is also ink onto a transfer onto a shirt, not necessarily the ink into the shirt. Dye sublimation is ink into the shirt, and then 3G opaque paper is also just a transfer that sits on top of the shirt. Ink onto a sheet of transfer that lays on top of the shirt. So, and finally you have your screen printing, which to me is going to be your best quality. It's going to be ink into the shirt, or if you're using plastisol, it's going to sit on top of the shirt. But screen printing quality is what I like the most. However, when it comes to pros and cons to everything, screen printing is going to be the one that's most beneficial to you if you're printing hundreds of shirts of full color at once, if you need to get a whole bunch of the same design out. And everything else is good for one-offs, but it's going to be a little slower if you need to print a lot of the same design out. But it's very good if you want to print out a whole bunch of one-off full color designs. So I hope this video helped you out when it comes to full color printing options in regards to equipment. Once again, my name is Rich. If you like this video, comment, hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.
Hey Hustle Ninja, thanks for watching. Remember, if you want to support the channel and have the chance to win a giveaway to help your clothing brand, be sure to check out onlyninjas.com. Also, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and stay hustling.